Welcome to In Depth for a look at what is making mining headlines in the Americas. HudBay Minerals has announced plans to build a new concentrator at its Lalor project in Manitoba, Canada. Deputy Editor Lizzo Hill joins me from Toronto, Canada to look at this issue. Welcome to the show, Lizzo.
Hi, Martin.
What are the implications of this decision?
Well, essentially what's happened is HudBay had initially been looking at, rather than building the new plant, the plan had been to refurbish an existing facility, their Snow Lake concentrator. And so they'd, in the plan for the project, they'd budgeted a certain amount and had planned to, as I said, refurbish that concentrator. But then they went back and started looking at trade-off studies at the potential of building a new facility. And so what they've now done is after crunching those numbers, they've decided that it would actually be better for the project to build a new concentrator and paste backfill plant. That will cost around 264 million Canadian dollars altogether. But obviously, because they already had been budgeting for the refurbishment of the existing plant, and on a net basis, essentially what it means in terms of the project cost is that there'll be an additional $144 million that the company will be spending on the concentrator. I think altogether that brings the total Lalor project cost estimate to around $704 million Canadian. So that's on the initial capital, the upfront capital. It is going to be more expensive. But what the company has outlined is that there will be, once the project's up and running, there will definitely be benefits to the project of having this new 4,500 ton a day concentrator that they'll be building. And so on the one hand, there will be production benefits. They'll have an improved production profile. And then because of that, when you look at things like economies of scale, then there's a trickle down from the increased production into the operating costs, which will then also be improved compared with what HudBay been looking at based on its initial plan. So there's those benefits, and then as well the company now says that it's extended its expected mine life at Lalor out to beyond 2030 compared with the around 2025 that the company had been looking at.
And when is the mine expected to start production?
Well, just to track back a little bit, HudBay at the moment, all its operations are in Manitoba. The company's got 2 mines, concentrator and a zinc smelter or a zinc plant in Flin Flon in Manitoba. And then it's got its Chisel North mine, and as I mentioned, the Snow Lake concentrator. That's in the area where the Lalor discovery was made. It was a discovery actually made by HudBay several years ago, initially a high-grade zinc mineralization, and then the company since, through exploration, has defined copper and copper gold zones at Lalor. So it really is a priority for the company. They've said they're going to fast-track the development of this project. The initial production will come from the company is busy sinking ventilation, what will be a ventilation shaft for Lalor, and then they're also developing a ramp access from the existing Chisel North mine through to Lalor, which will help with underground exploration. And so initial production, I think they've said up to around 1,200 tons a day will come, will begin in the second quarter of 2012. So that's reasonably soon. And then the full production, the company will be developing a production shaft, and that will be completed, or it's scheduled for completion around to coincide with the new concentrator that they'll be building. And they're looking at completion for that around the end of 2014.
We hear that HudBay has another project that it plans to start building soon. Can you elaborate on that?
That's right. In fact, just in the very early days of this year, HudBay came out and announced an agreement to buy Norsemont Mining. That company, it was a junior company. Their main project, their main asset was the Constancia project in Peru. And so this is something also HudBay's wanting to move along. They've said they'll be starting, they're expecting to start construction on the project actually in the first quarter of 2012. and then targeting first production 2016.
Thank you so much, Lizo, for your time. That's the show for today. Join us again next week for more news and insight on mining in the Americas. I'm Martin Joaquino for Creamer Media in Johannesburg.